The packed courtroom buzzed with murmurs as Barron Trump stepped forward, his towering figure and calm demeanor capturing everyone's attention. At just 18, he wasn't a lawyer, at least, not officially, but today, he stood in front of a seasoned judge and a room full of elite attorneys, ready to prove himself. Seated at the defense table were the Vasquezes, a hardworking immigrant couple who had spent 20 years building their bakery from the ground up. Facing them, on the prosecution side, sat a team of well-dressed corporate lawyers representing one of the largest real estate developers in New York. And at the center of it all was Judge Parker, an old-school judge known for his no-nonsense attitude and, at times, his condescending nature. He adjusted his glasses, looking down at Barron with an amused smirk. "Judge Parker, Mr. Trump, do you even know what you're doing here? This is a court of law, not a reality show." A few snickers echoed through the room. The corporate lawyers exchanged smug glances. To them, Barron was nothing more than a privileged kid playing attorney. But Barron remained unfazed. He simply stepped forward, locked eyes with the judge, and spoke with quiet confidence. "Barron Trump, with all due respect, Your Honor, I take this case very seriously. This isn't about me, it's about justice. And if you allow me to proceed, I will prove that the Vasquezes have been wrongfully targeted by this corporation." A hush fell over the room. The judge raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Judge Parker, all right, Mr. Trump. You have 5 minutes. But I warn you, this court is no place for amateur theatrics." Barron nodded and turned toward the jury. "The case unfolds, Barron Trump. This case revolves around a simple yet crucial issue. The Vasquezes were given a legal right to renew their lease. They followed every procedure. But the corporation is claiming they failed to do so on time. That claim is false." He placed a document on the evidence table. "Barron Trump, here is the certified receipt proving that the Vasquezes mailed their lease renewal within the deadline." The lead attorney for the corporation, a gray-haired man named Mr. Donovan, stood up with a smirk. "Mr. Donovan, objection, Your Honor. This so-called receipt doesn't confirm whether the letter was received." Barron didn't blink. Instead, he calmly pulled out another file. "Barron Trump, I anticipated that argument, Your Honor. Here is Exhibit B, a copy of the delivery confirmation, showing that the corporation's office signed for it on May 2 at 10:13 a.m. That's their signature right there." Gasps filled the courtroom. The corporate lawyers scrambled through their papers, whispering frantically. The Vasquezes gripped each other's hands, tears forming in their eyes. Judge Parker examined the document, his smirk disappearing. Judge Parker, muttering to himself, "Interesting." The tension in the room thickened as Mr. Donovan, now visibly nervous, cleared his throat. "Mr. Donovan, Your Honor, even if they received it, there is no proof that they reviewed it properly." Barron tilted his head slightly and smirked, just a little. "Barron Trump, I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Donovan. Let's take a look at Exhibit C, an internal company email between two executives discussing how to misplace the lease renewal to push the Vasquezes out." The courtroom exploded with whispers. Journalists furiously scribbled notes. Judge Parker, reading the email out loud, "If we bury their paperwork long enough, they won't be able to fight back." He looked up sharply at the corporate attorneys. "Judge Parker, Mr. Donovan, would you care to explain this?" Donovan's face turned red. He shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Donovan, Aye. Barron Trump, pressing further, the corporation didn't just lose the paperwork. They deliberately hid it to force an eviction. That is bad faith. That is fraud." The judge's verdict. The entire courtroom seemed to hold its breath. Judge Parker leaned back in his chair, stroking his chin, deep in thought. Finally, he slammed his gavel. "Judge Parker, I have seen many cases in my career, but this is one of the clearest cases of corporate misconduct I have ever witnessed. Mr. Trump, you came into this courtroom with the odds stacked against you, yet you dismantled the opposition with skill and precision. Consider me stunned. The corporate lawyers sat in silence, defeated. Judge Parker, turning to the Vasquezes, the eviction order is voided. Your lease remains intact. And as for this corporation. He turned to the attorneys with a cold stare. Judge Parker, expect an investigation into your practices. This court does not tolerate fraud. A standing ovation as soon as the gavel hit, the courtroom erupted into applause. The Vasquezes broke down in tears, hugging Barron tightly. Mrs. Vasquez, we owe you everything, Barron. We thought we had no hope left. Barron gave them a reassuring smile. Barron Trump, you don't owe me anything. You fought for your dream. I just made sure justice was served. As Barron walked out of the courtroom, the press mobbed him. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions. Reporter number 1, Barron, how does it feel to win your first case? Reporter number 2, do you plan to become a lawyer? He chuckled, shaking his head. Barron Trump, I'm just happy the right side won. The internet explodes within hours, clips of the trial went viral. Social media was ablaze. Hashtag Barron the lawyer trended on Twitter. YouTube was flooded with reaction videos. News outlets covered it as the day Barron Trump shocked the legal world. Donald Trump himself took to social media. Donald Trump, at Real Donald Trump, proud of my son Barron. Brilliant. Talented. And let me tell you, the courtroom has never seen anything like it. The best. A bright future ahead that night, Barron sat with his family, watching the news play his victory on repeat. His father placed a hand on his shoulder. Donald Trump, you know, Barron, I always knew you were special. But today? You made history. Barron smiled. Barron Trump, maybe law school isn't such a bad idea after all. And with that, the world saw Barron Trump not just as a son of a former president, but as a young man with a mind for justice, a force to be reckoned with in the years to come.